friends, I'm back. I'm still in my pajamas. It's 11:30 and I've been spending the whole day in the kitchen. So let me show you what I'm going on. I'm making my homemade Bolognese sauce. So here I have my Dutch oven. I made the bread. I'll show you it in a minute, but let's get started on this. So I ground up. I did extra meat because I thought Mason was going to be here. So actually there's 2 pounds of ground beef here and a pound of ground pork. You can change that to whatever you would like. The recipe called for a pound of ground beef and a half a pound of ground pork. So adjust the meat. The boys like a lot of meat in their sauces, so that's what I went with. So right there I just added, so I ground the ground beef, I took it out of my Dutch oven and I left those drippings in there. The beef that I had was from a cow that we have butchered, so there wasn't a lot of drippings left. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to go behind the camera here and I'm going to grab my olive oil spray and I'm just going to add a little to that. So what I have in here right now, Bolognese sauce is kind of like a spaghetti sauce. That's just the easiest way to describe it. And it's delicious. And there's a few steps, but if you do these steps, listen, this is amazing. Absolutely delicious. So what I have in here is 1 carrot, 1 celery stalk, and I've chopped them fine, as you can see. You can put that in a food processor if you'd like. Let me adjust the camera a little bit so you don't need to see me, you just need to see what I'm cooking. Because y'all know I'm beautiful. So anyway, there we go. Hopefully you can see that pretty well. And then I'm going to add 1 chopped onion. So we're going to let that cook down and get soft. Like I said, the hardest part to this was just chopping the vegetables. And I could have got out my little Oster chopper and threw them in there and did it really quick. But listen, I've dirtied up so many dishes today, I did not want to clean something else. So I just used my sharp knife and got all that going. So we're going to let that cook down for a minute. While that's cooking down, I'll show you. Don't mind my kitchen. It's a mess. I've got lots of things going on, and I have been cleaning as I go. So here is the apple bread. Let me tell you what. This was absolutely amazing. No, we didn't eat all this. Brock took some to the hospital for his parents. Maddie took a piece for her friend Jolynn, and took a piece to my mom, and then we sampled it. Delicious. The only thing I would add different is next time I'll add walnuts, just because I like walnuts. The recipe didn't call for it. This was a hit. This was so easy. All you needed was 1 or 2 apples, and you probably have everything else in your pantry and your fridge. So simple, absolutely delicious. Look how fluffy that is. Like I said, I made it in this 8x8 pan. The recipe calls for a bread pan, so you can choose. This is just how I like to do it. It took about, I would say 20 to 30 minutes, my toaster oven. So also I made, as you know, I was super excited about this. Let me show you. Here is that Dutch oven bread. Look at this. Look at that. We already sampled a bite of it. So what I did was, and I forgot to film this part, once the dough, I was ready to bake that dough, I just took this piece of parchment paper and put flour on it. Scrape that dough out onto that flour. You're not supposed to work it over. I just kind of shaped it the way I wanted it, and I put it right down in this Dutch oven that was heated for a half hour at 450. Then I baked the bread for 30 minutes. Took it out, and I put a little butter and a little sea salt on top. Now, Maddie and I both, but I haven't tried it since it's cooled off. We tried it when it was warm. Felt like it needed a little bit more salt in the recipe. That's my personal taste. So that's why we added the butter and a little bit of that sea salt on top. Now you could, at that final stage, you baked it for a half hour, then you took it out, you added the butter, and then you took off the lid of the Dutch oven and put it back in for about 7 minutes so that bread could get brown on top. At that point, you could add rosemary, thyme, you could add everything, seasoning, garlic, you know, it's whatever you wanted to try. It was delicious. I'm going to try it. I'm going to definitely make it again. Just remember that when you take this out, when you bake that bread, you have the lid on. That lid is super hot, and don't forget and not take it off with your hand, because you will not be happy with that. Okay, so I think we've got this cooked down pretty good. Next, we're going to add, let's go ahead, and I salt and peppered and garlic, the SPG, my meat. Next, we're going to add, it was a tablespoon of sugar. Now, the recipe calls for sugar, but I also always put sugar in anything that has tomato in it, because I think it cuts down on the acidity. So we got 1, 2, maybe if I can get this squeezed up. It's going to be 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Kind of struggling here with my tube. I'm going to measure. I'm just going to push it in. Looks like I'm getting to the end of my... I'm going to have to get me another tube. Okay, so 2 tablespoons of that tomato paste. Hopefully you can see what I've got. See if I do this. Does that help? Maybe. Okay. So we got that 2 tablespoons of tomato paste in there. Now the recipe calls for wine, which you know I don't use. Let me see if you use wine in cooking. I don't, just because, one, I don't want to buy it just for cooking and have it laying around. I'm not a wine drinker. So, let me see here. What kind of... It calls for a 1/3 cup of white wine. So, I am going to use... And you just use it to deglaze the pan. So, I'm going to come in with a 1/3 cup of beef broth. That's going to be my deglazer. By all means, if you have wine sitting around, use it. I wouldn't use it enough to justify buying a bottle. I don't know anything about wines, what's good wines, what's bad wines. So anyway, I always just use stock and my recipes turn out great. Or at least I think they're great. I haven't killed anybody yet. Okay, so there we've got that. Next comes, and I know this sounds really weird. Oh no, I don't have it prepared. Okay. Hang on a second, I've got to go. We're gonna add in 29-ounce can of tomato sauce. Now, I may have to add more just for the fact that I used extra meat, because I thought Mason was gonna be here. He had to go home. He had an inter-squad baseball game. So, I'm going to share some of this with Brock's family tonight at the hospital. So, we've got that. Next comes 1.5 cups of water. Okay. There we go. And it calls for a cup of milk, which I haven't gotten, so I've got to go grab it. See, every time I think I'm prepared, I'm not. Ding, 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 ding. Play some music while I'm getting my milk. Okay. I'm on my way. Okay. Sorry. I know, I'm not very professional, am I? Okay, so it calls for 1 cup of milk. I know that sounds weird, but it's delicious. You won't taste it. There we go. that. We're going to add some basil. Fresh if you have it. I don't usually have fresh herbs on hand. So fresh, there's some basil. Didn't measure it. Measure with your heart. Okay. Give that a quick stir up. Now, I've got some of this shredded Parmesan cheese. I'm going to add a little bit to the mixture now. Okay. I have to hide this from Brock because he loves to eat this. Okay, so now we're going back in with the meat mixture. Like I said, I have, the recipe calls for like a pound of ground chuck and a half pound of ground pork. But like I said, I've done 2 pounds of ground beef and 1 pound of ground pork. Now, I don't know if I'm going to add all this in. I'm going to see. I'm going to see. I'm just going to go for it. Okay. This is my ground beef. Look at that. Doesn't that look delicious? So what this does is it simmers and it'll get thicker. Oh, I wish you could smell my kitchen today. Between the fresh bread and the apple cake, my kitchen smells glorious. So yesterday, Maddie and I went to Greenfield and we went to a couple little shops. We went to that Remix Market. If you are local, you know it's in the old Dollar General building. They're across from Bob and Carl's. And look at the little Pyrex bowls I got. I got a set of 3. Aren't they so cute? It's the only set I saw that they had. Snatched them up. Shirley that works over at Stevens Hardware messaged me and said they had for me to get over there and get them. So thank you, Shirley, for that. Went and got those cute bowls. Then we stopped at another little shop. There where Kersey's Furniture used to be there on the corner of 138 and 753. It's kind of like a, I don't want to call it a junk shop because it's not junk. It's just like a mixed store. And I got a couple of things there. A couple of little Fire King bowls. Here's a little Fire King bowl I got there. I got another little Fire King bowl. And then I got some like a wooden spatulas and things. So it was cute. So stop in there and see her. I'm going to try this really quick. I'm sorry, but that is so delicious. Like I said, see how quick this came together? It's not hard to make a homemade Bolognese sauce or homemade spaghetti sauce. It's really simple. So I'm going to put the lid. I'm going to turn down my, this is my beautiful Dutch oven. She gets really hot. So I'm going to turn her down. I'm going to put this lid on. And I'm going to let her simmer. Now this Bolognese sauce, you serve it with these. Listen, y'all know I'm a hillbilly. Y'all know I don't know how to say things. Y'all make fun of me. So this is the noodles. Pappardelle, I guess. I don't know how to say it. Somebody can tell me. So it's a artisan pasta noodle. You can find these at Bob and Carl's, because the first time I made this, I was like, oh no, where am I going to find those noodles? But actually, Bob and Carl's sell them. So this bag is a 12-ounce bag. So I bought 2, because I don't know if I'll cook both or one. And basically, you just do these like with any other pasta. You bring water to a boil, put these in, salt. Make sure you salt your water when you do pasta, please. 9 to 10 minutes. That's it. You just put those little bundles. They're like a little nest. Okay. One more quick peek at that. Look at that. Oh, it's going to be so good with that and that fresh Parmesan cheese and his noodles and the fresh bread. Oh, listen. I forgot to tell you. Now, this, of course, is not a low-carb meal, and this is something I don't normally cook like this. It's kind of like a special treat. Doctor's office called the other day. My numbers look wonderful. She said my blood sugars are averaging about 130. and my A1C was 6.3, and the last time I was there it was 6.5. So I'm going in the right direction. 6 and below is considered non-diabetic. So I am super close. We're going to continue with the medications that I'm on. I'm perfectly fine with that. She also prescribed me another medication, and I'm waiting for insurance to decide whether I can have it or not. So we'll see. I can't, it's just disheartening that insurance, they're the ones who decide whether you need medication or not. So it is what it is. Hopefully they'll get that straightened out. And I'll start that. I'm still on the other medications. She explained to me that each medication that I'm on does a different function. So that's why I'm still on all the other medications. So it's good news. Everything else was normal. So at least part of me is normal. So anyway, that was great news. So I wanted to share that with you. So this is, like I said, this is a special meal. This isn't something we eat all the time. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm not going to feel guilty about it. And then I will get back to my, I don't want to say normal eating, but my lifestyle eating that I choose. Okay, guys, enjoy this. Please listen. This was quick. This may not be a weeknight meal, but it's definitely a Saturday or Sunday meal. And you will thank me for this. It's absolutely delicious. All right, guys, have a great Sunday. Bye. Oh, can I get your shut off? Well, I'm going to have to do it by myself. Here we go.